Good morning. Sharmane Watt coming to you live from Regina, Saskatchewan. First of all, let me say I'm sorry for the lateness in getting on this Facebook Live. I see that my cell phone time and my computer time are two different things by a few minutes, so sorry about that. Today's topic is going to be about mindset and a few things that I've overcome throughout my life. Recently, a fellow team member, Corny Caron, posted on his Facebook page the following. It's a mindset shift that requires daily cultivation, and one must set goals and have a vision. Staying in a negative realm and expecting positive results is not going to get one anywhere. Good morning, Logan. How are things supposed to change when one doesn't even know what one wants? One must be clear and keep one's focus on the end goal, but one must learn to enjoy the journey. It's not something that will fall into one's lap. It requires hard work and dedication on one's own inner thoughts and feelings, or your emotions. And one must allow others to be honest with one regardless how much it hurts or sucks at the moment. One needs to own all that shit that has happened and is happening to oneself. If one chooses to blame everyone else for all one's issues, then one is giving everyone else a string to one's puppet self. Man up and receive it, and one must make sound, wise choices that work to get one out of the situation that one is facing. Regardless whether one chooses this or one chooses that people will grumble and time will pass by. That this is about oneself and one's future, and one must realize that one is the only one who can change it. Very powerful, Corny. Thank you for those words of wisdom. It is amazing how many times in life we'd like to blame others for whatever has gone wrong. Sometimes you don't have any choice and you become a victim through nothing of your own fault. For example, an accident that you had no way of avoiding because somebody rear-ended you or hit you on the side. What a person can do is realize that they have choices going forward. Can you continue to be a victim? No, you don't need to be. You can just go ahead and change your way you want to do things. A person has to acknowledge that both the good and the bad help to create who you are as a person. Don't ever let the bad things in your life determine your outcome in life. You can make a choice to better yourself in every way that you can. When I look back, I realize that I've always had a vision. I just didn't know that's what it was called. Mindset is a way of thinking and a set of beliefs that determines one's actions. I am always thinking about everything and anything. Sometimes my thoughts even are about organizing items, storage in my home, the travel trailer because it's got very limited space, and how to make those ideas come to fruition. Sometimes the thoughts I have scare me because they seem so big. Late last year, I saw a quote by Richard Branson which really hit home for me. If your dreams don't scare you, then if your dreams don't scare you, then they are too small. I realize my thoughts or my dreams are not too small. With that in mind, my goal will be to break them down into smaller pieces and work on them one by one to achieve my dream. I have always believed that if someone else could do it, then I could too. It may take me longer, but I could do it. An example of this would be the game Sudoku. I started learning this game about 4 or 5 years when I was bored at work on my coffee breaks or my lunch breaks, and I decided I'd tackle this new game that I'd heard about. It would take me days to do one, which seems kind of silly, but that was the way it was. When I ran into trouble, I would ask my son when I go home if I had made a mistake to see if I had put the numbers in the wrong area. And he was able to look at the Sudoku and know from a glance what number would belong in a certain box. My son then gave me some pointers about how I could look at this and have a better outcome. So that really did help. Now I can do an expert Sudoku in 6 to 10 minutes and with no errors. So I love that little app on my iPhone, I must say. It helps me to pass time when I'm sitting in a doctor's office or places like that. My grandmother used to say that I was a spunky child. Now, as a child, I did not know what that word meant. It wasn't until I became older and I realized that she saw I was a determined and courageous person. It's amazing that somebody that was so important in my life saw something about me at such a young age. Over the years, I've always been a determined person to become financially independent. I've never wanted to be reliable on somebody else to provide for me in any way, shape, or form. And a lot of that comes from being a very independent family, growing up on the farm, and we just didn't rely on others to do things for us. Maybe as family members we did, but not as a community. When I was in my mid-20s, I thought of a business I was going to call Grandma's Pantry. The business was going to be taking grocery orders over the phone for people that could not get out to a grocery store, whether they were elderly or maybe had a broken leg or were sick, whatever it might have been. And I was going to buy the groceries, then deliver them. I registered the business name, but I never did anything with it. There were a variety of reasons for this. I was working full-time, and that included working overtime a lot of the times. I had a husband who worked shift work. We had 3 small children. Lack of self-esteem, lack of knowledge about how I could really make this happen, and things like that. These types of businesses now exist and have for numerous years, and they're not just for the elderly or people that have no vehicle or have broken legs. They're for anyone that's too busy to go out and get the groceries themselves because their time is more valuable. What it confirmed was that my idea was very feasible and very timely. Had I had the knowledge and the mentorship that I have now, I could have made that work, and it would have been awesome. Another way is, in 2005, I had plans of building a hotel here in Regina. In 2006, I met with the Connexus Credit Union, and I learned that they would provide 65% of the money I needed to build that hotel, and that I would have to come up with 35%. That I needed a feasibility study, which would cost about $15,000, and then another $20,000 for legal fees. And it seemed really daunting and unmanageable. How would I ever make that happen? Because I sure didn't have connections being in the corporate world. In 2010, I took part in a program called Progress to Capital. I met with a construction company and spoke with a person in the restaurant business who had lots of money to try and find out how to make my idea come to fruition. I even met with the franchise development director for Choice Hotels Canada, and I took him around to the different areas that I saw where these hotels could be built that were going to be really profitable in my opinion. And I even told him that the one I would make it as a 150-room hotel, and he said, "Really? Why?" And I explained that because in the north end of Regina, the closest hotel was at Seven Oaks on Albert Street. It was far from being a great location for so many reasons for the northern area of the city. One, it wasn't close to the amenities that we were using as people in the area. It wasn't close to potentially people that would be using their hotel for conferences like Evraz Place, or I think it's John Deere that's up there. It's now Kramer Tractor, I believe. There's the hockey rink out on Rochdale Boulevard, which always has games and tournaments going on for the younger people. So people that were coming into the city, the closest place that they could go to stay at a hotel in Regina from the north end would have been the Best Western on and Seven Oaks there on Albert Street. People want to come in and stay in the north end, not drive that far downtown. And in all reality, it's not that far, but 15 to 20 minutes with a bunch of screaming kids who are tired or hungry, you just want to find a place to stay. So also, people that maybe don't want to even stop in the city, they're staying in outlying communities, maybe Lumsden or Govan or Craven. It was a quick and easy access for them. So why did this not work out for me? Well, part of the reason was I did not know how to find investors that had money to finance 35% I would need to build that hotel. What did I do? Lots. I had identified 3 great locations. And I know this because those locations all have a hotel built there now, and they've been built in the last 4 or 5 years. What did I learn from this? Well, for starters, if you take too long to action an idea that you've shared with so many people, you're likely to lose the deal because someone with money will take that idea and run with it. Did someone else have those same ideas for hotels in those areas? Maybe. It's an answer I will never know the answer to. So what would I do differently now? I'm sorry, what have I done differently now? Well, I've educated myself through courses, through mentors, and being around like-minded people. I've also learned that my dreams are worthy and feasible. And I have a team of like-minded people who can help me achieve my vision and help me stay on track. And if I do run into challenges, then they have ideas about how I can make those work for me now. Your thoughts plus beliefs plus actions equal congruence. In other words, your conscious thoughts plus your subconscious beliefs plus your behavior equals good results. Just like a living plant, we must cultivate ourselves. We must acquire the skills to do the job we have set out to do. We must develop a network of like-minded people. These like-minded people help to keep us energized and focused. They are great to brainstorm with about challenges we may be experiencing. They are also great to brainstorm with about deals we may be presenting. A good example was an event we had earlier this week for our mastermind group. Pardon me, not this week, this past month for our mastermind group. There was a deal that was going to go through that they wanted to present on apartment blocks. There was 11 of them. And so as a group, we came up with reasons or things to maybe add or changes that might be added in. One of them was that we had learned that Boardwalk had built another community on the west end of the city. So we suggested that they put into their contract that they were not allowed to take any of the current tenants with them, because you don't want to buy an apartment block and then find out that they've taken all your tenants to their new units. Another one was that we had identified another area that one of the buildings had burnt down in a number of years ago. They have never built on that site. So we have some ideas about what we would like to do with that as a group, and so we decided that we'd write that into the proposal. In the end, Boardwalk has chosen not to sell it as a 11 building package, and that they're going to sell them off individually. Does that mean then that we're not going to take part in that? Definitely not. There are numerous people in the group that want to take part in that and will take part in that because they are determined to do that. And as one building at a time, it's maybe easier to fund them instead of coming up with such a large amount of money. So being around like-minded people keeps you, well, they tend to be positive for starter. They're energetic, they're insightful, and they're forward-thinking people. So we must set goals to strive for, or else we become complacent in life and we just move on. It's not a good way to be. You should always be trying to better yourself in some way. And better yourself also means taking care of those around you and also the community, not just people, but the community. A good example of that would be notifying somebody if there's graffiti on areas in your neighborhood, like SAS Power boxes or Canada Post mailboxes, those types of things, because it helps to deter negative activities taking place in your community if you identify those and get them cleaned up right away. We must have a vision of what we want out of life. What do you really want? Why do you want it? This is really hard for most of us to do. If you are like me, your vision will change over time as you mature through life. Also, my why has changed over time as my vision has changed and my life has changed. My why used to be only about me. Then it became about myself and my husband, and then it became about our children and us. And now it's about my grandchildren and all of us. It has just expanded. Don't be afraid to change your vision and your why as your life changes. Socrates said, "I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think." So take the time to really think about what it is that you want in life and the why that you want it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. If you'd like to learn more or have any questions about what I've just spoken about, please contact me at sharmane.watt@sastel.net. That is SHARMANE.WATT@SASKTEL.net. Also, check out my website at www.tcestrategicinvestments.com. Please remember, live your life by design and not by default. Starting next week, I will be holding all of my Facebook Lives on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. I was playing around with it, trying to find out what day worked best for me, and I have settled on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. So until next week, take care and have a great day. Goodbye.